Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new, shiny new avatar of the Backyard Spin podcast. We are so excited to be back after just a short break of 10 years. Time just flies. Back then, we were running possibly India's first sports podcast titled The Big Show. A lot has changed over the past decade, but some of the good things remain the same. The initials of the podcast remain the same, the fun and entertainment remains the same, and of course, my co host and partner in crime remains the same. Now, you might have heard about a reunion of a famous show where a bunch of useless folks sit around and gossip in a New York coffee house. Well, this is the reunion that fans should be talking about instead. Without further ado, let me welcome my co host, Dr. J from far away, who joins us from an undisclosed location in Atlantic North America, from a place only known as the farm. No affiliation to FBI whatsoever. What's up, Doc? How have you been?
I have been great. It's good to be back, and everything old is new again. What a wonderful week of sports it has been. Let's start.
Right. And I was just listening to the old podcast to fan in some nostalgia, walk down the memory lane. And one of the things that stood out was you talking about you talking about the chosen one as the frozen one. So I think we will touch upon that somewhere later in this podcast. But I hope that is one of the things. I don't know what spectrum are you on in the love-hate relationship with your good friend and former city mate, but we'll pick that up during the podcast.
Yes, LeBron, everyone loves to either hate or pick a point with, including me at various points of his career. It's not unusual for fans to go back and forth between a person who is almost the symbol of the NBA. And I look forward to bringing that up as we head into plays and playmakers.
Cool. So let us start. Let us start with the podcast. We'll first start with as I said, the format remains the same. So both of us will have our top three picks of the week. But before we do that, we have a special segment called the Playmaker Fix. Now, Playmaker is an initiative that I started somewhere last year towards the end of it, and the idea there was that in India, there are a lot of people who are passionate about sports, and not just watching it or playing it, but they want to contribute something in sports, in the business of sport. And over the past 6 months, I've seen some unprecedented participation in the webinars, workshop, the courses that we have run around the business of sports, starting with sports analytics. And the Playmaker community is one of the most engaged community of sports fans that we have made across these 6 months. Now, this segment is a hat tip to those folks who have sent in their plays of the week, and we'll just pool them first and then go into our respective picks. So, Bala from the Playmaker community has sent in Lil winning the championship after 10 years of beating PSG with probably a quarter of the budget as one of the
players. Yes, and a Canadian being the deciding goal. I love that pick.
Then he has also mentioned about Josh Taylor from Scotland, who became Britain's first undisputed world champion in the four-belt era. Now, I don't know a lot about that. I don't know about you, Dr. J, but that apparently is quite a big news in that sport.
You can't see boxing on the TV. Nobody knows what's happening. There are all these meme lords and TikTok champions that are picking up fights with people who are supposed to be established. So I have no clue. Frankly, all this UFC and boxing mishmash, it's just turned me away from the sport. I hope it goes back to where you can just get in a gym, put your gloves on, and then smash each other's mouths out. That's what.
But I'm sure when the Anthony Joshua fight happens later this year, I think the records will be broken again.
Which records? I mean, there is like 5 different agencies keeping these records. It's like chess.
Fans tuning in. Just a simple metric of how many fans have tuned in.
Are they buying those subscriptions? That's questionable because the UFC makes most of the money. So boxing is trying to go popular. while retaining its heritage. And you can't normally have it both ways. Either you can go one way or the other. Baseball is seeing more or less the same thing. So yeah, for me, boxing, have a big fight, then we will. One of those Klashko or whatever, the Ukrainian brothers fighting Mayweather, that would be a good fight. That would be something I would tune in for. Other than that, it's too much. It's not enough structure in the fights, and it doesn't really make for good watching, as far as I see. Even Mayweather is so defensive that you can pretty much see him rolling and shimmying in the ring, and that makes for decent viewing for a while. But after a while, you gotta punch someone in the mouth. That's what we will tune in for.
Right. So rounding off this Playmaker Fix segment, there are some picks that are common, and I think it will be common in Dr. J's pick as well. But rounding off this segment is a pick from Prasanna, which is slightly offbeat of the field and keeping on the physicality of sport that we talked about. Indian wrestler and Olympic, two-time Olympic medalist Sushil Kumar being arrested, and it's quite an interesting behind-the-scenes story. But since it is off the field of sport, we'll not talk a lot about that. We'll just head over.
What's the play over there? That he went to jail? I don't get it.
Yeah, and he was happy to be there. So he said that he has no regrets about the murder that he committed, but he's running away from a bunch of gangsters. So there is some old Bollywood level background thing that is happening that, frankly, I don't tune into the back pages of my newspaper to read about that.
Well, maybe Netflix or Amazon can pick this up as a series and then we'll watch it. But murder anytime is not good. I do not condone this as a player or a playmaker. Do not kill people. You can punch them, but please do not kill people.
Right. So with that, with the Playmaker pick segment, I'll hand it over to you, Dr. J, for your top 3 picks of the week.
So it was a wonderful week of sports, and there was just so much to pick from. I'll tell you what I've not been watching. So there is going to be a lack of any Premier League picks. Sorry, fans. It's probably the most boring season in a while. Maybe it's because of the lockdown. We know who won. We know who got relegated. It used to be a bit of a drama who is going to go into the Champions League. Nobody really cares about the Champions League anyways. It's a money grab. So there is no or very little soccer. I'll just touch on Jonathan David, who did that crucial goal that got PSG knocked off. And Jonathan David, Canadian, Brooklyn born. He picked the Canadian team. I did not know that. I was just looking where he was born. He plays for the Canadian national team, and he was a late entrant. He had no desire to play soccer. And now he has made a play that has created some kind of a drama. PSG is no longer the top dog. So that's always good. You have some level of parity. But without going into that too much, let's get into folks who have really made wonderful plays this week. I'll just do honorable mentions right now. One of the things I like about the league, and by the league I mean the NBA, is that they are very focused on the fans. They have opened their Hall of Fame to a fan gallery now. And the first person inducted, and this is an honorable mention in the Playmaker segment, is Nav Bhatia. Now, Nav Bhatia is a Canadian who came in 1984, very troubled times in India for a Sikh, couldn't get a job. Because his qualifications or the fact that he wore a turban in Canada was still an issue. And no issue, he just picked up, became a car salesman, became so successful that he bought dealerships. And when the Raptors got their franchise, he has been there for every game, every single home game. So much so that when the Raptors finally won, he got a ring for the championship. And when the NBA, which has decidedly opted to go on the side of the fans, very good development, put Nav Bhatia as one of the folks who has made a difference in terms of bringing people together. He has a foundation where he gets kids into the stadium, then he was the first pick in that gallery. And I think that is super cool. Now, lots of people have a rather traditional outlook on it. He didn't play it. He doesn't have a connection as an owner. Is not a referee. I think it's a really cool thing by the NBA to do it. Another honorable mention is the chosen one, who remains the chosen one in the play-in tournament, which I was not a fan of when it started, and I'm glued to by the time it has ended. LeBron James hit that 34-footer, which was described as a heave, but I think he practices those. And once he got that particular shot in, he leaned into Curry and said, I couldn't even see the basket. I was seeing 3 baskets. This is like someone scoring a 98 or a 99 and you getting 85 and then leaning in and saying, hey, this was a silly mistake, as if Steph Curry cared. However, LeBron made that play, which was critical for Lakers to go into the playoff without playing one more. And who knows if they met the Playmaker of the Week, number 3 on my list, Ja Morant. Ja Morant is one of those players that I have followed since, or a lot of basketball fans have followed since he was a player for Murray State. He is a big ball player, really fun to watch, handle in both hands, just goes in, has good elevation, everything from teardrop to a dunk. He's just fun to watch. I think he's all of 21 years old, never a pick, never a highly recruited player. And accidentally, he was recruited in the Ohio Valley Conference by a small school called Murray State. And then he made his way through the tournaments, made a splash in the year of the Zion when everyone was talking about Williamson. This kid was the number 2 pick, and he has not disappointed since. I will just read his stat line. In the Spurs game, 6, 6, and 20. In the Warriors game, 6, 6, and 35. And when they took down the number 1 seed, it was 4, 4, and 26. Now, the Warriors game, not only did he score towards the end of the game, but the whole team depended on him. There was no one stepping up. Dylan Brooks, another excellent Canadian, who Brooks and Morant sound like a store where you buy suits, but this is the fun that the Grizzlies are having. If you want to pick a team, watch the Grizz, watch Ja Morant. This kid is cocky. His Twitter feed is full of life wisdoms, and he is both pieced out and glued in. So it's fun to watch. NBA is fun to watch with the play-in, and my initial skepticism was not warranted at all. Number 2 on my list is someone who goes by the nickname, just by the nickname that he goes by, he should be a pick. The Hawks, Trae Young. Ice Trae really iced the Knicks in their own particular backyard. In his best Reggie Miller impression, he did a teardrop at the end and then lean towards the crowd and say, hey, where are your FU chants now? I want to hear them back. So to soak up that crowd, 15,000 fans booing you, and then to feed off that energy and do the game winner takes a little bit of doing. And Trae Young, my man, what a particular moment to pick to have your initial playoff victory. That was just stunning for a kid to do, especially since the Knicks defense is very vaunted, but he penetrated it for inside plays time and again. So Ice Trae, you are our number 2 pick for the week. Number 1 pick, and I don't see how you could not pick lefty. Phil Mickelson is a fan favorite. He's been for a while. On and off the field, people have known Phil for more than 30 years. Still the last amateur to win on the PGA Tour. And lefty was not a favorite to win anything. In terms of odds, which Phil likes every now and then, sometimes to his detriment, is his odds of winning the PGA Championship were 0.5%. And if you were betting on him, you had an excellent payday, but there was no reason to bet on him. He was not even top 20, I think, for the whole year. He got an exemption for the US Open that he accepted a week ago. It's because golf has become a power game. Bryson DeChambeau is extremely popular with everything he has done in terms of the database changes to his body and his swing. And Phil is more of a feel person. He likes numbers. He practices deliberately, and he has been innovative in his pick of clubs. However, what Phil has not done is really gone all in on the sports body science, except that he fasts for 36 hours on end, apparently, and that resets his body. But you can see that Phil has changed to a more violent swing too. He will tell you that. And through his discipline, about 10 years ago, he was diagnosed with arthritis, I believe. And through his discipline and through his deliberate work, he has remained a contender. And to win something at 50 years is unique, except to say that Phil does not look or seem like a 50-year-old at all. Now, a decade ago, Tom Watson almost won the Open at 60 years. And that was something that was a delight to watch. I remember turning into Turnberry in 2009 and really rooting for him to make the par. And he fell into one of those nerves that even old guys get, that Phil got on the front nine. But thankfully, this was a happier ending. And I think Phil might win a couple of more of these majors. It's because this was one of the largest courses that you can play in the majors. And for an old person or an older person with not the same amount of power, with a little bit of finesse, with the short game all deliberate and practiced, to crack this is really something. And I'll give a tip of the hat to his partner on the final day, Brooks Koepka, surgery in March, playing on one knee in Masters, and being in the top three at a major is just amazing. So there is a lot of drama that went on the final day. And if you were watching it, you were glued to it, not only rooting for lefty, but also all the lead changes, the swings, whether he was going to fall on the 13th. These were things that you were glued into. So those are my picks. How about you, NCJ? What have you been watching? Who are your playmakers?
Right. Thanks for that, Dr. J. And just to ask you a question, because I don't follow golf that often, but of course I read the news, and as you'll see that display also features in my list. But everywhere I read and everywhere I watched in the news, they were prefacing this course by using the word treacherous. So why was it treacherous? Why was it such a difficult course to play on?
Long and wet. Once you get, this was the longest greens to hit. So if you go for power and you miss on accuracy, just think of someone trying for a six and just missing the line, So that's when you get those double bogeys. And if your lie is not good, because this was an island course, then that means that you have to be very maneuverable with the way you do the initial contact, the spin on the ball. So Lefty did a little bit of his intuition, kind of held back. He's known for those circus shots. Didn't do a bunch of them. Supposedly, and this is what he told in the interview, that his brother told him at the sixth tee that he was not committing to shots, and that's why he was falling on the back nine. And then he committed to shots and held the lead. He was not even the favorite going into the final round, because people knew that this was a tricky course, and maybe Oosthuizen or Koepka will creep in. But to Lefty's credit, on a very tricky course, one in which people with power should have the advantage, he said, not so fast. Maybe there is still some charm in those olden hands. He proved it.
All right. Thanks for that. Now for my top three. There are some things that are common, so I'll not spend as much time on that. My number three is one of your honorable mentions, the chosen one / the frozen one, hitting a shot, hitting a clutch 3-pointer to seal that plane. I was fortunate enough to tune in at the right moment. So it was, as you said, that I was also not convinced about the plane. It seemed like something that they picked from the IPL. I know Adam Silver has been visiting India for quite a bit. So I thought that he got inspired from the IPL and did that. But now I am also becoming a convert, given the quality of games and the intensity of games that happened. So my number 3 is James's 3-pointer in that playing game against Golden State Warriors. My number 2 is another one of those players who people either love or they hate. It's Luis Suarez's performance to win Atletico Madrid the La Liga championship after 7 years. As we know that in Spain it's a duopoly. It's either Barca or Real Madrid who end up winning everything that there is to win, and it's frankly quite boring. But Luis Suarez, Barca reject. In fact, he was in tears when he heard that he was being transferred. And on the other hand, Diego Simeone, who is the great coach of Atletico Madrid, when he heard that Barca want to sell Suarez, and his club president asked him, "Hey, they are selling Suarez. Do you want to buy?" He was like, "Are you crazy? I'm just going to call him right now." So that is the level of impact that Simeone saw in him. And Suarez has been I would say he has played in the shadows, or he has tried to find his way in the teams that he has been in, right? So right from Liverpool, where I think the first fighting incident happened, and of course he was sensational in that season. Liverpool should have won that season, but we'll not dig up
let's not
things from the past from our podcast 10 years ago. But then in Barca, he was, whenever you play with someone like Messi or Ronaldo in the team, even though you have significant contributions, you'll always be seen as someone who is playing in the shadows of the greats, right? But in Atletico, Simeone molded the team around him, right? He made Suarez the star of the team, and there are some stats that are quite telling. So in terms of the tackles, the successful tackles that Atletico made, they are just I think third or fourth in the league, and all the other 3-4 teams have either been relegated or they are not in contention at all. They are mid-table to lower table. What that means is that Atletico faced a lot of pressure because their defense was probably not as good as the other teams, but they managed to, with their counter attack and their centering their play with Luis Suarez, they were able to overcome that thing and win the championship. And in fact, in the last 2 games, not just the last game where he scored a brace, a come from behind brace to pip Atletico over their city rivals, their bitter city rivals, but even in the previous game against Osasuna, he scored a goal in the dying moments of the match. And in Spain, they have now started calling the dying minutes as Suarez time, in a throwback to Fergie time in England, right? So Luis Suarez and all that he has done is my number 2 pick. My number 1 pick is the same as Dr. J, because how could you not pick Phil Mickelson? And Dr. J has already talked quite a bit about it, so I don't have anything to add to that. But one of the folks that I was, similar story, of course, not that big a win, so to speak, but there was this great story about a 45-year-old county player from Kent scoring a record 190. He broke the record for the most number of sixes that were hit in a county game. And this is a player, an evergreen Kent player called Darren Stevens, and he had made his debut in 1977, right? And he has been playing. So there is still hope for UNP.
I've never heard of this guy.
I had never heard of this guy before what happened the other day, and he hit 15 sixes and 15 fours in his 190 runs, and it's extraordinary. At the age of probably we are entering the age of where athletes like Federer or Brady or even Mickelson, they are breaking the age barriers, so to speak, at an age where people should play in the senior circuits, or people used to play in the senior circuits. But news like this is really, it's quite a joy to see, and especially as someone who has been playing from 1977. So right from when probably Sunil Gavaskar and the Chappell brothers and Viv Richards and Imran Khan would have plied their trade in county cricket. He has been there, and just recently he has broken the record for the maximum number of sixes. So he was my original in my original top three, but the Phil Mickelson news.
Honorable mention, yeah, 45, 190. That's got a good symmetry to it too. Yes. You remember when we used to watch the new entrants in the World Cup as it expanded? There was someone from Kenya who was like 43 or 44-year-old, and the captain, I don't remember the name, but there were all these new entrants who had veterans who had been applying their trade for a while, right. And just seeing them compete on that level was a sight to behold. They held their own.
Right, and I think it was a Dutch captain. Again, it's not a name that either of us would remember after such a long time, but yes, he was a 41-year-old who was captaining Netherlands, and at that point of time, that was the record for the most the player with the highest age who was played in an international match.
Well, you have the playmakers all tied up with our conversation, and I'm sure they will have feedback on this.
Right.
Maybe they can run some analytics on why older people are being more successful these days, and feed that into the TB12 diet, where you eat avocado ice cream and shy away from anything that has any amount of sugar or cola. I don't know. But maybe, how do people stay so fit?
Or maybe
that would be Go ahead.
Or maybe what James does to justify the moniker, the frozen one, his entire biofreeze liquid nitrogen. I don't know what
he is the bionic man. He is the bionic man. And when you see that, there is always a warning, just like cigarettes. Do not try this at home. Do not try this at home or at clinic, or even if you are an athlete. You are not LeBron James.
Right. So before we move into our wrap-up segment, I just had a fun news to share with you, and feel free to add your taglines. But this was too fun not to share, as this probably doesn't count as
curious now.
Yeah, this does not count as one of the top plays of the week. But in the last game, in a crucial game where Chelsea's Champions League spot was on the line against Aston Villa. Imagine the top players of the world coming in their really posh bus and them being charged up about going to the game and playing their part in taking their team to the Champions League. Now imagine going there and seeing that a bunch of volunteers are not letting you in because they are eating ice cream. This is what happened on the last day, and this takes the cake, or should I say the ice cream with the it's being called the raspberry flakes gate in English footballing circles. But what's
so basically these folks who were supposed to open the gate were having fun eating ice cream?
Yes. And
well, I don't blame them at all. Maybe it's hot. Who knows in England? It's hot one day and then it's pouring another day, and maybe why can't they open their own gate? What's wrong with that? Open your own damn gate. Don't depend on people to open the gate for you. Get a card, open the gate, let the stewards be. It's hot. I like the fact. Everyone should be eating ice cream now as a sign of protest against opening gates for people who can't be bothered to do this on their own. I'm on the side of the stewards. Well done. Eat more ice cream. I want to know which flavor it was.
Raspberry flake. So it's being called the Raspberry Gate in
I
India.
like it. Yeah.
Right. So
maybe Raspberry Pi can sponsor some of these protests. I'm totally on board.
All right. So you can always trust Reddit to come up with the best remarks. And this is one I like. Someone
Aston Vanilla? Yeah.
Aston Vanilla. But I have another one. And I have another one, and you can vote if it's the better one. I think this should be called Sunday Bloody Sunday. And we can have you two to come and perform that song.
Whoa. No. They cross that out. This is too gory. No. They
can't believe the news today.
Yes, go ahead.
Right. So with that good fun wrap up, we'll just head into our final segment. And what's a sports podcast without keeping scores, right? So we will keep scores going forward, and in this one, we will assign points based on whose pick is better. As simple as that. And how do we decide?
We are all about useless points. It's just like garbage time in the NBA. Unless you're punting, just pour them on.
Yeah, and it's just it's about points.
It's like pennies in your wallet. Throw them all out. You still want your wallet to be heavy, but not too heavy. Go ahead.
Right, and as a hat tip to one of our favorite series, Whose Line Is It Anyway? These points don't matter. These points are like Bayern Munich winning their 9 millionth championship. Who cares? Probably Dr. J, when we will be old and I don't know, sipping some single origin coffee, we'll still open the newspaper if there are newspapers at that time, and we'll still see Bayern Munich.
It's like billionaires paying luxury tax on their payroll, and everyone telling you how much that is a problem. I do not care about the payroll of the Yankees. Nobody cares.
Okay, so in this segment, fortunately, because both of us had the same top pick, the points will be shared. We'll have one each. We'll be keeping score, and in the later segments, once we have judges, and we'll add some more jazz and probably some analytics to find out whose pick was better.
Let's get a poll going. Let's see. We have all the same picks. So you have got Suarez in there as number 2. You have Lefty as number 1. Right. So it's probably a case of whether people are tuning into what soccer or not. I think that's about it. I think it's become a little boring, other than the fact that you have the occasional upset. Liverpool winning was nice, Leicester winning was nice.
We have Atletico and Lille winning. Nice. Both of them were once in a decade.
Once in a decade. It's not like you have like Balboa winning, or you have some second string team that I can't recall at the top of my head. Just going in, and it's Athletic Madrid, Real Madrid, Barcelona. These are the teams that have been dominating off and on for a while, and maybe one of them pipes up every now and again. So,
right. but that should count more than let's say a play-in or a playoff game, right? That should matter more, because it's one of the most watched leagues. A duopoly has been broken. Someone has, I
don't know. I can't get myself to watch La Liga. It's just, I'm guessing there is a special charm to people who have been watching it for a while. But that Real Madrid and Barca 1 and 2 is not really fun for the game. You watch it for the players, I'm guessing. And one or two plays here and there, maybe they make a difference. But you got to have parity. And it's a case of where if there are either different winners, or if it is close, once in a while there's an upset, some backstory, some kind of a drama, then you kind of, the unscripted drama, this is not the scripted drama, the unscripted drama makes a difference. And whether it is Atletico Madrid or Real Madrid, not for me. Bring some more teams in.
Right. So I hope with the top
Osasuna, or Deportivo La Coruna. Let's go back to those days. That's what I want to see.
Right. Good. So we will end. We'll wrap up today's comeback edition here with even Steven points shared between us. 1-1 will be the scoreline. We'll probably run a poll after that, and in the future segments we'll have the points much more.
What's the poll going to say, though? We have the same picks for the number one, so it's already tied. Maybe we do different picks just for the poll from now on.
We'll figure that out as we go along. It's our first session, so probably when we are in the 5th or 10th session, all of this will be sorted, and you will have much more. You will have your say in who wins rather than us sort of.
Dear audience, for your useless points, see who wins in this particular contest that nobody cares about. Tell us who your playmakers are, who we missed, what we should be watching. If the Monaco Grand Prix was on your watch list and we missed something other than Serena waving the flag, tell us all about it. We want to hear from you. And this was a great comeback podcast, as you said. It's still TBS, and we hope to see you in the next edition.
Right. Thanks, Dr. J. And with that, see you again next week, and with more action, more picks, and hopefully much more fun.
Get a shot, take a shot, and if you are licensed, give a shot. Make that play. Stay safe, stay home. Things are going to be good in a while. And that's it from me.
All right. And that's it from me as well. See you next week.